Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Cravings and Addictions. Free yourself from the struggle of addictive behavior with acceptance and commitment therapy. By Maria Karekla, Ph.D., and Megan M. Kelly, Ph.D. Foreword by Dr. Russ Harris. Narrated by Leslie Howard. Publisher's note. This audiobook will refer to visual elements included in the print and ebook editions of the book. Additionally, this audiobook includes many references to exercises. Please have a piece of paper with a pen or pencil or a note-taking device available. This publication is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is sold with the understanding that the publisher is not engaged in rendering psychological, financial, legal, or other professional services. If expert assistance or counseling is needed, the services of a competent professional should be sought. Foreword. The great author Mark Twain famously said, "Giving up smoking is easy. I've done it hundreds of times." This witty line speaks to an important truth. Breaking bad habits is not easy, especially when that habit is so deeply entrenched, so powerful and pervasive that we label it as an addiction. Twain also said, "Habit is habit, and not to be flung out of the window by any man, but coaxed downstairs a step at a time." And that is precisely what the authors of this book will help you to do, using the science-based approach of acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT. ACT is a powerful model for changing behavior, with over 3,000 published studies showing its effectiveness. Step by step, this book takes you gently and compassionately through the ACT approach, teaching you all the skills you'll need to stop struggling with addictions and start living a richer, fuller life. Whether it's an addiction to drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, junk food, or anything else you can think of, there's a small set of simple but powerful tools that can help you to overcome the cravings, urges, impulses, and desires that underpin your habit. Within this book, psychologists Maria Karekla and Megan Kelly, both ACT experts, will take you through these tools and show you how to effectively apply them. You may be surprised at much of what you learn within this book. Many of the tools and strategies are counterintuitive. They go against the conventional wisdom. They are radically different to popular common sense approaches, such as positive thinking, distraction, or trying to resist your urges. But novel as they are, these methods are based on a firm foundation of solid scientific research. So bring along an attitude of openness and curiosity, a willingness to experiment and try out new things. As you play around with your new ACT skills, you're sure to find, like millions of other people, that they have a huge positive impact on your life. You'll discover how to take the power out of your cravings, so they no longer jerk you around, and better ways to handle the problems in your life and all those painful thoughts and feelings that go with them. And most importantly of all, how to build a more satisfying and fulfilling life while being the sort of person you truly want to be. So good luck for the journey ahead. I encourage you to make the most of the great wisdom and compassion of your two excellent guides. All the best. Russ Harris. Introduction. Are you struggling to break free from a problematic addiction? For example, to smoking, drinking alcohol, taking drugs, overeating? Are you subject to persistent cravings that pull you back into addictive behaviors you want to leave behind? Have you tried everything you can think of to stop having or giving in to cravings, but find they keep coming back stronger than ever? You are not alone. As clinicians, we've worked for a combined total of over 40 years with clients whose addictive use of substances like alcohol, drugs, tobacco, or food has kept them stuck, feeling helpless, in life patterns that are unsatisfying, saddening, or even destructive. Our clients have found the most success with stopping the addictive behaviors and living the lives they want when they can effectively conquer their cravings. In this book, we will help you understand and effectively manage your cravings so you can live the life you want. What are cravings? Cravings are intense desires for using or consuming certain substances with the goal of feeling pleasure and satisfaction. Though the word is used more broadly to mean strong desires for experiences, possessions, or even people, for the purposes of this book, cravings are desires for any type of consumable substance. Cravings are a key component of addiction-related problems, including addictions to substances like tobacco, alcohol, and drugs. They also contribute to the obesity epidemic because they are associated with our intense desire for certain foods that often aren't healthy for us, particularly those high in carbohydrates, sugars, salts, and fats. Cravings are a common problem for people with addictions, and many struggle to manage them. It is no surprise that most of us report having cravings. Research finds that cravings are reported by 58 to 97% of the general population, occurring as often as 2 to 4 times per week. Despite their high prevalence, we often experience cravings as unwanted, something that we must not have, and substantial obstacles to overcoming addictions. We struggle to manage or resist them. Most of us who deal with addictive behaviors know the dire consequences of our behaviors, including the steep price often paid in terms of our health and relationships. However, many of us still struggle to manage, limit, or stop cravings related to our addictive behaviors. Many of these behaviors and associated cravings are as much a psychological as a physical addiction. We will explore this more in Chapter 1, but as hard as it is to curb addictive behaviors, you can do this. There are effective ways of tackling our physical and psychological need for these substances that we desire so much, ways not based on the assumption that we need to completely change what we want, what we like, and how we live. The problem with old solutions. Many approaches to managing cravings and addictions share two problematic and false assumptions. We must rid ourselves of cravings to become addiction-free. We must avoid anything that ever causes us to crave. These two nearly impossible goals set us up for failure. First, as we've noted, cravings are normal and unavoidable. Common events, anything and everything, can trigger a craving. Trying to avoid them is so difficult, it only gets us more stuck. In this book, we take a different approach. We affirm that to make an important life change, we need to change not whether we experience cravings, but whether we can change our relationship to and perceptions of cravings and addictions. This doesn't demand some kind of perfection or that we structure our lives to avoid temptation. It's actually achievable. Many people deal with several types of cravings, for example, smoking, eating, drinking, and using drugs. Approaching each separately doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it can be exhausting trying to manage them all at the same time. But we often need help to learn how to manage several different cravings at once. Fortunately, the principles and practices we'll teach you here can help you break free from the grip of cravings, even when these are frequent or for several types of substances. You'll do this not by abolishing cravings, a superhuman feat, but by learning to change how you deal with them and to focus on the important things you want from life. Choosing a values-based life. Many who struggle with addictive patterns know the serenity prayer, which asks for the serenity to accept things I can't change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. It is an inspiring expression of what a life without substance use might look like, and many admirers wonder, how? How can I accept the unchangeable and change the unacceptable? In this book, we'll teach you to put the Serenity Creed into action, particularly in relation to managing cravings and addictions, using tools drawn from an approach you may not have heard of. Acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, is a values-based approach for managing a wide range of psychological problems, including addictions. Based on cutting-edge research into how the human mind works, ACT is a clinically proven, successful treatment. ACT has a strong research base for improving conditions in which cravings are a central reason for addictions starting and continuing. For over 30 years, ACT practitioners have created perspectives, practices, skills, and tools that allow people to choose to live each day according to their values, rather than according to habits or compulsions. ACT is named for two key themes: learning how to accept those things that are out of your control, and commit to changing those things you can change to make your life better. Cravings and Addictions is less about making cravings go away and more about freeing you from the struggle involved in trying to make them go away. Freed from this unwinnable struggle, you are better able to make positive life choices, whether the cravings are there or not. You can move in a direction that is important to you. Using an ACT approach, we will help you actively learn new skills to manage cravings and improve your life. The principles of ACT, the therapeutic approach, can be summarized using the same acronym: accept, choose a direction, and take action. Accept. Imagine playing with one of those finger traps where you slip one index finger into each end of a tube, then try to pull them out. That seems like the obvious solution. But with pulling, the tube just tightens on your fingers. Your mind tells you to pull harder, with more strength and will. But it doesn't work. The squeezing on your fingers reduces circulation, which starts to hurt. The harder you try to pull out of the trap, the more stuck you become. Interestingly, the solution is to do just the opposite. To move your fingers into the finger trap instead. Suddenly the tube loosens and you can get your fingers out. By leaning in, you created space in the tube and freedom to move. This is acceptance. Cravings work in a similar way, and the solution that's reinforced in our culture is to try to pull away from them. But if you do this, you tend to get mentally trapped inside the struggle with the craving, such that it can seem like giving into it is the only way to ease the struggle. This, of course, leads to more problems and discomfort. With acceptance practices, you learn to lean into the discomfort of managing cravings. You acknowledge craving and make room for it in your life. Rather than staying trapped in a battle with your cravings, acceptance gives you enough room to move around and live your life. Choose a direction. Have you ever attempted to visit a new place and come to a crossroad in your path? Which direction is the right one to take to get you where you want to go? Each time a craving shows up, it's like reaching a crossroad. Effectively dealing with cravings means deciding which road to take. When you create space by accepting cravings and their associated thoughts and feelings, it becomes more possible to choose your path and create a rich, full, and meaningful life. To do that, you'll need to spend some time exploring what's important and meaningful to you deep in your heart. Values are your heart's deepest desires for what you want to do and how you want to be. ACT has powerful tools and techniques for clarifying values and orienting life around them. Living a values-based life is a process, something that you will work on and be committed to now and over the course of your life. You'll find that the same is true of managing cravings. Managing cravings and living a valued life is not about crossing the finish line and you're done. They are a part of a lifelong journey. Take action. Using your values as a guide and your own personal compass, you'll learn to set goals to 1. Manage your cravings, and 2. Take action to change your life for the better. In the process, you'll continue to develop a sense of meaning, purpose, and vitality. We are not saying that once you listen to or work through this book, you will never have cravings again. Nor do we aim to help you get rid of the cravings. This is on purpose. Remember, cravings are a normal part of life, and you can have a rich and meaningful life even in the presence of cravings. Your cravings don't have to rule your life. Instead, when you live each day to its fullest, the struggle with cravings and other uncomfortable feelings that seemed so important and necessary no longer seems so important. The way you approach life is much different. Live each day to the fullest sounds like a great slogan, but we're not here to sling slogans. This book emerges from our years of practical, skills-based work with our clients. We'll teach you how to stop fighting your cravings and other uncomfortable feelings and thoughts, reduce your suffering, and accomplish what is important to you. An important note before we move on. While we strongly encourage you to seek out professional help for any addictive behavior, including problematic eating and smoking, it is important to note that if you have an addiction to alcohol and drugs, you may need to go through a medical detoxification program to stop using these substances safely. You may have developed a physical dependence on, that is, physical need for, alcohol and drugs. So you need more and more of the substances to obtain the original effect. If you abruptly stop using alcohol, opiates, or benzodiazepines, you may experience withdrawal symptoms. These withdrawal symptoms can be difficult to tolerate on their own. In some cases, attempting an at-home detoxification, detox, can be dangerous. This is why we strongly encourage you to seek out professional medical help with this process. It is important to not go through detox alone. You will need help in your first few weeks of sobriety. Even for other drugs with less severe withdrawal symptoms, we strongly encourage you to seek out professional help and rehabilitation as well. In conjunction with professional help, this book can be a guide to help you learn how to deal more effectively with cravings in your recovery. How to use this book. Each chapter teaches different components that can help you take effective action toward managing cravings. And, most important, creating the life you want. We'll use case examples from clients who have struggled with problems similar to yours, plus examples from situations in our own lives, noting who is speaking, Maria, Megan, or we. Each chapter includes metaphors and exercises to help you understand the concepts, and, most important, practice. Take any learning from this book and try it out for yourself with your own cravings. Each chapter is independent as well as related to the rest, so you can start to apply each suggestion immediately. No need to wait until you finish the book. Many clients like to go back and forth with the ideas and concepts learned. As you discover what works for you, feel free to adapt and make this material your own. You'll find a wealth of online free tools at newharbinger.com/48336. That's newharbinger.com/48336. We reference them throughout the book, but you can download them now if you like, and they'll be ready for later use. We hope you find our approach useful, that you gain new knowledge and skills with every moment, and that these enhance your life and well-being. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Understanding Cravings. Amy. For me, eating and anxiety went hand in hand. I had strong cravings to eat whenever I was anxious. When I had stress at work, I came home and reached for food to manage it. If I had a bad interaction with someone at work, I would eat to make myself feel better. I ate junk food to relax, but it wasn't making the stress go away. I wasn't managing my anxiety in a healthy way. Amy is describing the phenomenon of cravings, an experience you probably recognize. Since you're listening to this book, it's likely you also struggle with cravings. You may have tried to control your cravings by avoiding situations that provoke cravings, limiting where you go and who you see. Maybe you've tried to distract yourself to buy time for the craving to pass, or tried to bury those cravings and ignore them. All this effort can be exhausting, and when it wears you down, you're vulnerable to giving in. Then you're left feeling depressed or angry or disappointed with yourself. The harder you try to control your cravings, the more you lose. It's like trying to play a rigged game. There is another way. As discussed in the introduction, we define cravings as a strong desire to use a substance or a particular type of food. Addictions are defined by the experience of a physical or psychological need for a habit-forming substance, like certain foods high in levels of salt, sugar, fat, cigarettes, alcohol, and some drugs. When addicted to a substance, we can experience cravings for it, or strong, preoccupying thoughts about wanting to use it. Because cravings are a defining feature of addiction, the experience of cravings was included as a symptom of substance use disorders in the latest, 5th edition, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5. Cravings also make it difficult for people to stop engaging in addictive behaviors. They are a prime reason for relapse. Thus, we aim to give you and others, like Amy, tools to successfully manage cravings. Again, you won't learn how to banish cravings. That is not possible. Rather, the aim is to learn new ways to behave when they show up, so you can live the life you want. Why, when, how, and where cravings occur? Cravings are our brain's programmed response to environmental cues. When these cues are connected to food, tobacco, drugs, and alcohol, addictions to them can develop over time through biological, behavioral, psychological, social, and environmental factors like these: a family history of addiction, seeing others engaging in the addictive behavior, availability of what we crave, messages from advertising and media, sensation seeking, seeking out thrilling or exciting experiences. There are 4 overarching factors that tend to lead to cravings for food, nicotine, and other substances. We develop a physical addiction to a substance over time. We use a substance often enough to develop a psychological habit, which can accompany physical addictions but is not the same thing. We experience challenging emotions, anxiety, sadness, anger, and seek relief or comfort from the substance. We've used the substance often in response to social cues. Let's look at how each type of factor might affect us. Cravings may accompany physical addiction. First, cravings often arise when we have a physical addiction to a substance. Substances such as tobacco, alcohol, drugs, and food, particularly foods rich in fat and sugar, stimulate our bodies to release neurotransmitters. These chemical messengers create pleasurable feelings that act as teaching signals. One such neurotransmitter is dopamine. Dopamine plays a key role in the body's reward system, which helps us to think, plan, focus, and pursue things we find interesting and pleasurable. Dopamine is a critical component in the development of addictions, since it provides the pleasurable feeling we get when we use substances like certain foods, tobacco, alcohol, and drugs. Our brain links the substance, nicotine in a cigarette, alcohol in a drink, and the good feeling. And then the substance itself triggers a very strong desire, a craving, for more of the substance. Over time, when we repeatedly use substances, they can actually change our brain structure and chemical composition. For instance, studies have shown strong evidence of brain activation when people who are addicted to food, cigarettes, alcohol, or drugs are shown pictures linked to these substances. If we've taken the substance for a long time and developed a dependence, we may experience withdrawal symptoms, a variety of bodily sensations, flu-like symptoms, nausea, shaky hands, emotions, irritability, restlessness, and thoughts. One cigarette is all I need right now, if we stop consuming it. These symptoms can range from mild to serious, depending on the substance and how long we have used it. Sometimes withdrawal can be dangerous without proper treatment and supervision. For instance, alcohol withdrawal may lead to seizures that can be dangerous, so medical intervention is important. Again, if you plan to stop using substances like alcohol or other drugs, we strongly advise you to discuss this process with your healthcare providers and develop a plan for doing this as safely as possible. Because of this physical addiction, medications that block the effects of substances in the brain can be particularly helpful for managing cravings. For instance, medications like buprenorphine and methadone effectively reduce cravings for opiates. Tobacco cessation medications like nicotine patches and lozenges can reduce the intensity of cravings and withdrawal symptoms. Sometimes people think they should have more willpower and tough it out. More on this shortly, without medical assistance. But by reducing the intensity of your cravings, these medications can improve your chances of learning how to better manage them. Again, we advise you to discuss with your healthcare providers options for ending your use of addictive substances. However, we can also make the mistake of believing that medications are the only thing we need to manage cravings. Medications can play an important role in reducing the intensity of cravings, but cravings will still occur for other reasons, which we will explain. Therefore, it is important to learn how to manage cravings with new coping tools and strategies, rather than relying solely on medication. Habitual behaviors lead to cravings. People, places, and things become linked to the pleasurable feelings tied to neurotransmitters like dopamine. This process leads to cravings when our brain learns to associate those pleasurable feelings with situations in which we use substances. Such cravings occur frequently, particularly since we often eat food, smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol, and use drugs many times in a day. How many times have you had chocolate over your lifetime? And in what situations have you had chocolate? We often have chocolate for dessert as a way of ending our meal. Now, if you repeatedly have chocolate at the end of your meal, your mind starts to learn to expect chocolate at the end of the meal. That makes you more likely to think, I've finished dinner, time for chocolate. And this situation causes you to crave chocolate. Smokers often say, drinking coffee and having a cigarette go hand in hand. Once these are paired, the mind starts to associate coffee with having a cigarette. Then, if you have a coffee without a cigarette, your mind starts to tell you that you need to have a cigarette with your coffee. You just won't feel right or get the same pleasure from drinking coffee without a cigarette. Your mind tells you that something is missing and that a cigarette will make it feel right. These cravings can be hard to ignore or push away. We often give in to them because it takes too much effort to fight them. But we can change how we approach our habits and reduce the intensity of habit-related cravings over time. For instance, if you stop eating chocolate after dinner, over time the craving will eventually fade. You will not experience these cravings forever, particularly not as intensely. In this book, we'll...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?